How's it going today, buddies? Hopefully everybody is well. So, believe it or not, I filmed this already, but my actually didn't hit record on the camera. But let's just dive right into it. Welcome to Lucha Libre News/Rant Show. Let's just dive right into things. So last Wednesday was Halloween, but it was not only was it Halloween, it was the first part of Lucha Underground's Ultimate Lucha Cuatro. Off the bat, I have to give this event a thumbs down. It was just a really bad event. Now, for those of you who don't know what Ultimate Lucha Cuatro is a Lucha Underground's biggest event of the year. It's their year end, pretty much like WrestleMania. It's their year end biggest event of the year. There's two parts. Part one, which was last Wednesday, part two, which is coming up this Wednesday. Now, the matches were really good on paper. They actually sounded pretty decent, but they were actually really not good at all in reality. Now, first matchup we seen was the trio tag team titles matchup. Now, Reptile Tribe, who were the tag team champions going into this matchup. The Reptile Tribe put their titles on the line against the Rabbit Tribe, against Lush, Sammy Guevara, and Eva Lee's. Now, the winners of this matchup were the Reptile Tribe. Now, I found this matchup to be extremely disappointing in more ways than one. First off, let's start with the match. The first to be eliminated, because this was an elimination match, the first to be eliminated was the Rabbit Tribe. Now, that was hugely disappointing that they were eliminated first. The Rabbit Tribe, of course, there was a huge lead up to get the Rabbit Tribe into Lucha Underground, and of course it was a lot of lead up to this matchup involving the Rabbit Tribe, and for them to kind of just boot them out the way they did as like the first tag team, like the first trio team to lose, was really extremely disappointing. It was kind of like a lot of lead up to this, to them being in the matchup, and then to boot them off first. It was really just kind of disappointing to kind of destroy a trio tag team like that, kind of have this lead up. It's kind of almost pointless to really have them there at that point, because you're kind of leading them up to do this takeover, all that, and just kind of boot them to the curb. It was kind of really disappointing and really sad for sure. It was just really dumb. Of course, another point of this matchup was I found this not as fast-paced as I hoped. It was really just kind of slow-moving, especially compared to who was involved. I mean, there was, fast-paced Lucha Libres and Luchadors involved in this matchup. There was a lot of heavy hitters, which it wasn't fast-paced at all, and it was not as heavy-hitting as I had hoped, especially when the Rabbit Tribe was concerned as well. I just found it to be really disappointed. I do like the fact that the Rabbit Tribe actually ended up winning this match. My camera ended up dying there, but I'll just continue on with this. So anyway, like I said, the Reptile Tribe ended up winning that matchup, which in a way I kind of like them winning that matchup, because the trio tag team titles, they change hands way too much. Like, they change hands more time than I change my socks, and I change my socks quite often. So I mean, the fact is that they ended up winning and retaining the titles, which is good to actually see, which kind of proves the fact that they're also going to be a very tough trio group to actually beat, which is pretty good. But I would have definitely liked to have seen the Rabbit Tribe go all the way in that one, though. Another matchup on the docket was Taya versus Ricky Mundo. Now, this matchup was another big letdown. It was very predictable. I've seen Taya in way better matchups than this as well. She did win the matchup. She did win that matchup. I mean, this matchup just seemed like it was just a very amateur type. I mean, it was very bad back and forth. I mean, like I said, I've seen these performers in way better matchups than this. I mean, for their biggest event of the year, this just was kind of like a meh. Like, it wasn't a really good matchup at all. The back and forth was horrible. It was just really predictable. Like, I mean, it was just seemed very amateurish. I mean, it wasn't really good at all. But the main event of the night was, of course, Mask versus Mask matchup when Killshot took on Son of Havoc. Now, this matchup was the best matchup of the night, but even this matchup did not hold up to my expectations at all. I've seen both these competitors in way better matchups. Again, it just seems like the fighters in this matchup didn't really care too much. I mean, they didn't really give it their all, or at least they didn't seem to give it their all. I personally would give this matchup a 3 out of 10, which me saying that this is the best matchup of the night and I gave it a 3 out of 10 goes to show you how bad this event actually was. Now, part 2 of this Ultimate Lucha Quattro is coming up this Wednesday, and I'm hoping that the matchups for this coming Wednesday are way better than the matchups we've seen, because if they're not, I mean, this is going to be the worst Ultimate Lucha in the history of them having it, and probably even the worst event, Lucha Libre event that I've ever seen. It was a really bad, very predictable, just really not good. Like, I mean, I don't know, it was just a bummer, you know what I mean? Like, very bad matchup. But moving on to a real event, the independent Lucha Libre promotion known as The Crash had their anniversary event this past week, and unlike the Ultimate Lucha Quattro, it was actually really amazing. They had their match lineup actually not only looked good on paper, but it was actually a really good event, to say the least. Now, in this, the match list up kind of looks like this: is Zacaro, Valentino, Tribian, and Starboy took on the team of Super Calo, Junior, Valentino, and Jonathan. This matchup was actually really amazing matchup. It definitely passed my expectations for sure. We've seen Starboy, Zacaro, Vento, and Taliban pull off the win. I'm really bad with names, by the way. Also, we have seen the Cruiserweight title on the line, the Junior Cruiserweight title on the line, Black Tortillo versus Taigo, Ryo Star, and Xperia. This was definitely for sure a contender for the matchup of the night. It was a really good matchup of the night. It was very solid back and forth. It was very much Lucha Libre to the max. I mean, Xperia ended up winning the matchup and becoming the new champion, which I definitely agree with. I think he deserved the title in more ways than one. Another matchup was Oracle Templar versus Ecstasy and Douglas James. Now, this was definitely a very predictable matchup. I kind of figured that Oracle would win the matchup, and he did. But it was definitely still an amazing matchup and one of my favorite matchups of the night. It was definitely a true battle and definitely a real struggle. Like I said, ultimately Templar ended up winning the matchup, which I definitely agree with. I think that he's one of my favorite luchadors out there, and he definitely deserved the win. It was definitely a hard-fought victory, to say the least. Now, in other matchups, seen Mr. 405 taking on King Horus, taking on Shane Strickland versus Austin Therapy. Now, this was a really good matchup. In fact, it was a really good style versus style matchup. I always like it when you have the style versus style matchup. Lucha Libre versus wrestling versus, that whole thing. Mr. 405 ended up coming out with the win. It was a really good matchup, not the matchup of the night, but definitely still a really good win. A really good matchup anyway. Now, of course, in women's matchups, we've seen Tessa versus Rain versus Karen, Hogan versus Lady Flamer. Now, off the bat, I would have loved to have seen Lady Flamer win this matchup. She actually didn't win the matchup. Tessa ended up winning the matchup. I would have liked to see Lady Flamer win the matchup because she is one of the best, in my mind, one of the best female luchadors out there today. She definitely deserves a little bit more recognition than she is receiving, but it was still a really great matchup. Now, of course, there's more matchups and on that event, a little bit more than I could go through with you guys today, but like I said, definitely hopefully the Ultimate Lucha Quattro Part 2 coming up on Wednesday is definitely way better than Part 1. If you haven't seen Part 1, don't cry about it because it was really bad. Hoping Part 2 is going to be a little bit better. Of course, I know Part 2 is really predictable for everybody, and it's probably not going to be really that great, but of course next Monday I will go through that as well. But anyway, that's the video for you guys today. Hope you like, comment, subscribe, you know that very much, and I will check you in the next video.